Recently, I got hands-on with a masterpiece in watchmaking. A watch with incredible engineering, incredible history, but for some reason is still heavily underrated. Today, we're taking a closer look at the Breguet Tradition 7057, and we'll try to understand the reason behind it being so underrated. I have a couple of theories, so make sure to stick around till the end to find out what they are. Let's go. Breguet's history starts all the way back in the 1700s. In fact, WatchCenter.com ranks Breguet as the third oldest watch brand, right after Blancpain and Vacheron Constantin. It all started in 1775. That's 64 years before Patek Philippe was founded. Now, when the founder of a watch brand, of a watch company, is nicknamed the father of modern horology or the Da Vinci of watchmaking, you can tell that he has made some major contributions within this niche world that we love. A lot of watch brands' contributions, even when it comes to older brands, including Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe, they've innovated on a lot of existing technologies. They improved certain complications, making them more advanced and usable in modern timepieces. Breguet invented a lot of those features that other brands later improved upon. The inventions made by Breguet can be classified in two categories, the engineering side and the design side. As early as 1786, Breguet mastered and popularized the guilloche engraving technique that allowed his pocket watch dials to have not just three-dimensional depth that added some visual ornamentation, but more importantly, it made the dials more scratch resistant and legible than the more commonly used enamel dials. These patterns were and still are engraved manually through the surgically steady hands of highly trained artisans who use a rose engine lathe to create these patterns. Even minor details like his own typeface and handset became so prominent that they were referred to as Breguet hands and Breguet numerals. And when it comes to the engineering side, in 1780, Breguet gained fame through the creation of the first ever self-winding pocket watch. And just 10 years after that, he invented the first ever shock protection system on a mechanical movement. The tourbillon today is seen as an extremely over-engineered mechanism whose function is mainly to highlight the expertise of a watchmaker or movement maker. That's it. It doesn't impact the accuracy or the performance of a wristwatch movement in any way. But when Abraham Louis Breguet invented the tourbillon in 1801, or that was the year when it had gotten patented, this regulator did in fact improve the accuracy of pocket watches. He achieved this by installing the entire escapement inside a mobile carriage that performs a complete rotation each minute. Since all the flaws are regularly repeated, they are engaged in a process of mutual compensation. Moreover, the constant change of point of contact undergone by the balance pivots in their bearings ensure enhanced lubrication. Okay, I read that whole last bit from Breguet's website, but you get the point. In simple terms that I can actually understand, the tourbillon was invented with the objective to combat the gravitational pull on the most sensitive parts of the escapement in order to maintain its accuracy. He also invented the modern balance spring, gong springs for chiming watches, and constant force escapement. This kind of makes you wonder what other watchmakers were doing. But now that we've gotten all of this historical context out of the way, let's talk about this watch. The Breguet Tradition 7057 is a boutique-only mechanical masterpiece that comes in a 40mm 18-karat white gold case with a thickness of 11.65mm and a lug-to-lug of 49.5mm. The case is polished and has a fluted case band or case sides, which is a signature feature used by Breguet. The welded lugs feature pin screws instead of the traditionally used spring bars. You get 30 meters of water resistance, which is acceptable for a dress watch of this nature. Now, what makes this particular watch unique is that unlike the Breguet Classique, The movement components are showcased on top of the base plate instead of the case back, so you're able to see all of Breguet's inventions in action. A visual lesson in high watchmaking, so to speak. The off-centered solid gold dial is lacquered in black and is then decorated with guilloche patterns, featuring Roman numerals and Breguet-style hands. Covering both the dial and case back is a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating that gives it an incredible level of clarity to witness all of the intricate details of this master watchmaking. The movement inside is the in-house self-winding caliber 507DR that features both hacking and hand winding, a beat frequency of 21,600 vibrations per hour, and 50 hours of power reserve, which is incredible considering the complexity of this movement. You get to see all of the movement components in constant engagement with each other, including a gear train, the mainspring, the balance wheel, and Breguet's very own parachute shock protection systems placed at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions. The movement gets its power by a silicon Breguet balance spring, which is resistant to magnetism, temperature changes, and shocks, making it much more accurate and reliable than traditional balance springs. The 50-hour power reserve can be tracked through indicators on both the dial and the case back. The attention to detail on this watch is an absolute treat. You don't just get hand beveling on bridges, but even the texture on the bridges and plates is created through a hammering technique known as peening, which is almost unbelievable considering that the texture looks machine finished. It's just so well done. Now, we have to ask one question. If Breguet invented all of these things, if Breguet was truly the father of modern horology, why is it that this brand is so undervalued, underappreciated, or not talked about as much as Patek Philippe and Vacheron? Remember during the quartz crisis when Patek and AP went into the route of creating that integrated steel sports watch? Breguet maintained its DNA with design, with dress watches, even at a time when dress watches aren't as hot as luxury sports watches. And I feel that's one of the reasons why Breguet is not the cool kid around the block anymore. For the mainstream collector today, when you ask them about AP, they'll point out to the Royal Oak. When you ask them about Patek Philippe, they'll point out to the Nautilus. Some brands, especially within the indie watch space, there's still something. There is some activity from the brand that tells us that the brand is working on new and exciting things, which gets the collectors, the journalists, the enthusiasts excited about the brand. Even if they produce 5,000 pieces a year, they are talked about way more than Breguet. Plus, I feel like the group structuring, Swatch Group, has neutered Blancpain and Breguet, which sucks. So let me know what you guys think. If you could afford a Breguet, if you had that money, would you still go into Breguet or go a different route, go into a different brand? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.